All right. The Wire. We're on season 2 now. This is episode 4, I believe, titled Hard Cases. If that's not it, it'll be in the description, of course. Um, I'm trying to slow down when I'm speaking here so you can understand me. Is that good or is that bad? That's bad. Um, uh, so in this episode, the crew's back together for the most part. We've got the officer who was making the toy furniture. I named two of the guys like renegades, I guess, if that makes any sense. They were kind of like on their own path in the crew. I forget both the characters' name. One half of them is back, so that's two officers. You got Kima, she's back. You got the lieutenant from the old group, he's back, and of course you got the son-in-law. So there's a connection here. So the main story in this season so far is this battle for influence. I hope I'm using that right. They need influence. They need to get the ear of the church. Two parties. One guy's running running like the Teamsters at the port or a specific port, and then you got like a high-ranking police official. They both need to get the ear of the priest because the priest tied into some politicians who can get things moving in their favor. One beats the other one to the punch, so the police is now abusing his power in order to crush him, and the guy pours everything he can just to mess with him. Okay, it's actually funny. Nobody's actually gotten hurt so far. It's pretty funny so far. Let me see what else happens. Okay, so how that plays in, his son-in-law is the guy who was the character who was pretty much made out to be the buffoon and unfit to be a police officer. You've got him. He's the only reason that everybody comes back together, right? So they've actually done a 360 or 380 or 360 is more. They've done a complete turnaround on this character to make him much more likable. But I still I don't think so, right? Um, but yeah, so you've got that going on. Before I forget, they've also brought back Kima's undercover guy. He's fallen. He's fallen back. He's fallen completely back into the grip of his vice. So he's went back off the deep end, and McNulty has to make a promise right. So he's using him in order to find Omar, this Jack boy. Now Omar has found a new love. Uh, it's weird. It's weird how they set that character up. Usually a character, a person in that line of work would have to portray this overly masculine and heterosexual aura, or not portray. Would have to have that, and of course he just chooses to be who he wants to be, and whoever he's in a relationship with also does dirt with him, which I think is something that may fall on deaf ears just because a lot of individuals may be uncomfortable with the fact that he's a homosexual. But in any partnership, you both have to be all in with it, I think, in order to be successful. I think that's the takeaway from it. At least that's what I see it. But anyway, uh, through him asking around for Omar pops up. And now I'm interested to see where that's going to go, if he's actually going to testify or not, uh, to get these guys locked up for more time. Okay, now that I'm talking about the episode, my memory's been jogged more about it. So the biggest thing in here is, you've got individuals from last season who are now incarcerated, and they've run into an issue with one of the correction officers. So they try to the diplomatic way, I guess, to get the guy's ear. Maybe if I could put a little money in your pocket, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, whatever the case is. But he's not having it because one of Barksdale's or Avon, that guy, one of his crash dummies, is taking a murder for this CO's relative. And of course, he just wants to see the guy suffer, right? I think anybody in their right mind having that little bit of power will want to do that. But he's also doing his own little thing. He's bringing in drugs into the jail. So they make a smart play here. Now, if somebody's bothering you or hemming you up in such a way, most people will think, oh, let's just eliminate him. No big deal, right? Not necessarily. How could you get him and benefit yourself without, benefit yourself in a way where you're not just getting gratification for seeing him suffer. Also, get you out early. So they wind up basically, I wouldn't call it snitching. They wind up telling on him. I don't need to define snitching, do I? But anyway, they wind up telling on him, and of course they search his vehicle and his locker. They find the drugs. So now, not only is a consequence of that is not only, excuse me, not only is he gonna lose his job, he's probably gonna end up being put in that same facility that he was policing. Excuse me, which is probably the ultimate payback. And on top of that, with them knowing this information, it's gonna allow their sentence to be reduced. So I think Avon has got himself, instead of doing 7 years, he's got himself down to like 1 year. So far, I think that's what they're trying to negotiate. That's insane, right? Oh, I can't leave without talking about some of the new characters. So you got two individuals who are underneath the guy who's running this particular port. Now they take it upon themselves to start taking items and flipping them to the same guy that uh, I don't want to make it too complicated, but they take it upon themselves to start flipping items on their own, but they don't really know what to take it to, so they wind up taking it to the same guy that the boss has been dealing with, and they're getting a little bit of money, but I think I mentioned this before. One of them is a liability. I feel like. I think now, after watching another episode of his antics, he has to be taken care of. Like they've gotta kill that kid. I mean, he's gonna mess all type of stuff up, unless he can turn it around in some way. I mean, I don't see it happening, but he's gonna do a lot of harm to them. Like, you can see it. You can see it coming from a mile away. But maybe the writers wanted to be like that because they've already built up. Like I was just speaking on earlier, that one police officer who was basically made out to seem like he was unfit to be a police officer. They've got him turned completely around. So they might do the same thing with this kid. I don't know yet. Just got to keep watching. What else happens in this episode? Oh, the case of the dead bodies also, or the dead prostitutes, or were they prostitutes or prior prostitutes or or soon to be prostitutes? I don't know. Women who are trafficked, which is a pretty serious situation. So McNulty's old partner and the guy who does the wood furniture have been given that case, and they're working on trying to solve it, of course. But they have little to work with. So now the only point of contact that this head of the port has had is with this female officer who's basically, she spells it out. Hey, I'm not real police. I do, I check seals, such and such, this and that, real simple stuff. And then this stuff falls in her lap, and again, you're exposed to the laziness of the police force. Like, nobody wants to work it because they feel like it's so much work behind it. They feel like they don't want to put that amount of effort in. It's like, it's your job. Okay, I'm gonna get off that. I'm gonna get off that because that kind of irritates me a little bit. But these two detectives come in, and now they're adding their style of policing into it, trying to get answers to this thing. I mean, best way they possibly can. Kind of pushing up on this guy, and that was the end of the episode. What else happened in this episode? Nothing that I can remember. Man, what else happened in this episode? Jeez, I'm drawing a blank here. I'm gonna watch the next episode. Of course I am. So, till then.